Welcome at Teylers Museum in Haarlem. It's an honor to have this 14th meeting of the EAPP here in Haarlem, and on behalf of my director, Marjan Scharlo, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, a very warm welcome to you all, and I hope you will have some inspiring days in our museum and during this meeting. I want to use these few minutes to give you a very short introduction on our museum and of course some highlights of our paleontological collection. But first of all, let me introduce myself. I am Trienke van Spek and I'm the Chief Curator of the Scientific Collections. This includes a scientific library with a lot of botany, an instrument collection with electricity machines, etc., and a mineral collection, but also, of course, a beautiful paleontological collection. Teylers Museum is the oldest still existing museum in the Netherlands. It opened in 1784 and has always been open since for public. It is a typical product of the Enlightenment in the 18th century, and it facilitated the principle that people should have free access to information, which was new, based on knowledge is power, so that you were free to form your own opinion on things, you could access information, knowledge, you could study things, you could discuss things with each other, so that was very important. Of course, we were not the first or only institute like that in the Netherlands. There were actually quite a lot of learned societies here. But we are the only one that survived full scale through time. So it's not just this museum, all the buildings are still there in their original state. The collections are all still there, the archive, but also the two learned societies of Teylers Foundation. The foundation itself is still there, so it's all still going on, and that is what makes us unique in the world. I don't know if some of you already saw the museum yesterday or maybe on a previous visit, but this is the center of our museum, the Oval Room. On my previous slide, you can see this is what it looks like today. This is what it looked like in 1820. In the first decades of Teylers Museum, people would only have access to this room because this was the whole museum. And here you would find fossils, scientific instruments, the library on top. You see the green curtains, that's the first library. There were cabinets with instruments, but in the long cabinets there would be the fossils, but also drawings by Michelangelo, Rembrandt, because in our museum we always acquire both art and science, because in the 18th century that was what you studied, not just one of them, but both. The collection was not a historical collection, it was an actual up-to-date collection, and they grew rapidly because the curators actively collected all the state-of-the-art artifacts, books, etc., so that they were able to study and show the newest insights. Of course, soon this oval room became too small, and the museum started extending its buildings so that they could host all these new items they bought, and they kept doing that for 200 years. Well, during the last 2 centuries, rooms have been added to the museum, and we have painting rooms, we have fossil rooms, we have instrument rooms, a library, this lecture hall, and some of the rooms are public and you can visit them later today or in the next days, and some of them are hidden, like, for instance, well, this is the paintings room, This is the museum library. Normally you can't go there, but it's one of our secret gems, well, according to me, and it's just behind this door. So on top of the public rooms where the fossils and the instruments are, you can find facilities like this lecture room and the library. This is our painting room. What I just told you about the scientific collections, the museum always bought actual information, the newest insights, the newest findings. It was the same with the art collection. So, for instance, in this room, it was opened in 1893. You will find the contemporary art, Dutch art of that time, because they bought directly from the artists. Because we survived time, by now this is like a typical standard museum room, but it used to be more a gallery type of exhibition of contemporary arts. And this, of course, is the room that is of most interest to you all, I think. This is the fossil room. It's actually one of the two fossil rooms, but this is the largest one. It was formed by a succession of curators, the collection that you can find in this room. Because these curators always try to acquire the newest finds of their time, we as a museum are nowadays a beautiful history of paleontology in a nutshell. And I want to show you some of the highlights in our collection, probably known very well to you all. This is a Legensteine, a limestone found by Beringer in 1725. We've got several of those stones, and we also have this original publication. I'm not sure how well you know this story, but this was the first scientific fraud that came to light, because Beringer found figure stones, even with Hebrew letters, with animals, etc., which in that time was seen as proof of God and his creation of the world. But the stones were actually produced by his colleagues, who hid them and tried to set him up, and it worked well. So his publication, we've got the original first copy, but officially it was withdrawn from the market, and Beringer bought all the extra copies and kept them, so that no one could read them ever again. But after his death, they found their way to several libraries, and we've got one. And there is a digital link to this first print, so if anyone is interested, it is available on our website. This is maybe the most famous of all fossils in our collection. This is the original Homo diluviensis, so the man who witnessed the deluge. It was found in 1726 by the Swiss Dr. Schweitzer, and acquired in 1802 by Van Maren, our first scientific director. He didn't buy it because he believed it was a human. He didn't buy it because he thought it was actual proof of the deluge, but he bought it as a discussion piece because it really focused on the nature of fossils, the position of mankind in relation to the biblical deluge. Of course, around 1800, the biblical explanation of how the earth was made and what fossils were actually really got tension, because it got harder and harder to combine these two truths. And this was a key item in this discussion. So that's why we have it. Another important piece is this first Mosasaurus fossil that was ever found in 1766. So it's older than the one in the Louvre, found by Hmm? Yeah? Taken to France by Cuvier. Huh?
Not in the Louvre.
Oh, no, you're right. Sorry. In France, in Paris. It was found in Maastricht, in the Petersberg, and Van Marum and Petrus Kamper, his teacher, really thought it was some kind of crocodile or dolphin. They weren't sure about the age, but in any case, it was really difficult to explain how it got on top of a hill instead of in the sea where you would normally find aquatic animals. So here again is this tension between the Bible and the things you would actually find. Nowadays, this was the basis, but nowadays we have one of the best Cretaceous collections in the world, I think. This is probably the star of this collection. Okay, this is a mammoth skull, but it's the first one found in the Netherlands, and the timing is interesting because it was just that the concept of extinct species was launched by Cuvier when this was found in the Netherlands, and Van Marum really wanted to acquire it for the museum so that people could get notion of this new insight in the existence of, or the evolution of, well, the existence of life. He couldn't buy it directly, so it took several years before it finally ended up in the museum. But it wasn't very important piece in its time. So, from biblical truth via extinction, we come to the dinosaurs. And this is our true Mona Lisa, maybe. It's the first Archaeopteryx fossil that was ever found in 1855. And it came to the museum in 1860. It was bought by the successor of Van Marum, and he thought it was a pterodactylus. It has been in our collection as pterodactylus for quite a long time, because it was not until 1970 that John Ostrom studied this piece, thinking it was a pterodactylus, and then he discovered remnants of feather structures, and it turned out to be an Archaeopteryx. They're very rare, and this is the first one ever found in retrospect. This is a curator that succeeded Van Breda, so he was the third curator of the Palaeontological collection, Tiberius Winkler. His most visible legacy today are the fossil rooms that you will probably see today or later during this meeting. He composed those rooms, and they date from 1885. He was a very early and outspoken adapter of Darwin's evolution theory. So the next step, of course, in the theory about how life evolved. He published a Dutch translation only weeks after Darwin's original Origin of Species. And this is a beautiful frontispiece with dinosaurs, the Mosasaurus actually here, and also humans with an ape on top. Winkler had no problem in thinking that humans and apes were really related, so he was quite outspoken about that. And then the last one that I wanted to show you is, well, Eugène Dubois, very famous for finding the Java men, the missing link between men and apes. He was a curator here until 1940 when he died. He found, he was convinced that humans were descendants of apes, and he tried to find evidence, and he actually found parts of what nowadays is Homo erectus, but in those days it was named Java man. He always kept these fossils of the Java man here at Teylers Museum. He had a vault designed to keep these precious fossils, and he guarded them with his life. In the end, they went to the collection of Naturalis, because it was state property, and we got casts in return. But this display is really nice because it was composed by Dubois and shows the state of knowledge about evolution of man in the 1930s when he worked in. And you can still see it. Last slide. Of course, I talk about the fossils as historical artifacts, but they're also a source for modern research. And this is a nice picture. You probably recognize Anne Schulp, our honorary curator at this museum and also part of the organizing committee of this meeting, and Dennis Footen, who is also here. Our Archaeopteryx fossil traveled abroad 2 years ago to be scanned in nowadays research, which to me is a great pleasure, so that the fossils are used both ways, historically and as a source. I want to thank you for your attention, and before I stop, I really hope that you can enjoy our rooms and the fossils you probably all know. But when you do so, please remember that you are not allowed to take drinks and food in the museum. That's all.